Yeah.
Scrolling through the listings late at night, looking for a pad that's out of sight. Found the team that's got my back for real. The Jonathan Cook team, that's the deal. They rock the keys and seal the fate, helping you navigate real estate. With every call, they know it's true. They got the perfect home for you. The Jonathan Cook team makes it easy. Buying and selling is just so breezy. From the first step, they clear the way. Your dream home's just a call away. They've got the tools and they know the score. Hustling hard, giving more and more and more. Find that backyard or a skyline view. They make it happen for you. The Jonathan Cook team makes it easy. Buying and selling is just so breezy. They hustle hard with style and grace, leading you to your perfect space. No matter the steps or what you plan, they're holding the map right in their hands. The Jonathan Cook team makes it easy. Buying and selling is just so breezy. From the first step, they clear the way. Your dream home's just one call away. If you wanted to see how easy all this could be, we're just one call away. If you wanted to see how easy all this could be, we're just one call away.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Infinite Agent Podcast. Get it away, Jonathan.
What's happening, everybody? It's Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm just guessing it starts with...
It's a great day.
It's a day.
It's a day.
It's a day.
It
Yeah.
definitely ends in Y. I mean, I have a 100% chance there. I'm going to guess without looking at my phone. I think it's Wednesday.
It is.
Okay, Wednesday. So episode 17 of the Infinite Agent Podcast. Jason, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Jonathan. It's great to be here. Nice sunny day outside. Good weather. Not too hot.
Yeah, I like that the people that are that we share the Infinite Agent with. I like that they are in the chat so much right now. And somebody asked us this morning on our training, why do we see buyers out there more? Why do we see listings getting more showings? I think it's just this weather.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's been still pretty hot, but it's starting to cool off. It's kind of an amazing October.
Yeah, football season's here. You know, it's kind of that time where if you're gonna do something, the heat is on a little bit. You know, if you're gonna get closed by, I know a lot of people have the Thanksgiving kind of goal. I want to have host Thanksgiving this year in my brand new abode. Well, it's time to get on that. And then, you know, if anybody's looking to put their Christmas tree in their brand new house, that's time too. What are y'all seeing out there?
I'm seeing a lot of builders that are offering crazy incentives still, and it's getting even more ridiculous. And the sellers that are really actually getting movement are doing price reductions and offering incentives.
What are you seeing, Jason?
Well, I'm seeing, you know, we had a little bit of a lull in the market right after the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Builders are feeling some pressure. But the last weekend felt really good. A lot of listings that have been kind of sitting stagnant, getting multiple showings. We've had agents, even on your team, getting multiple offers again. So it looks like things are taking a turn for the better. I feel good about it.
The information about the interest rates cuts are starting to get out there. It's getting a little bit more prevalent for people expecting rates to go down. I do think that there are some people still waiting on the sidelines for them to continue to trend down. And then there is a lot that's going on with the political climate that's got people very apprehensive.
Yeah, I love that. We're going to go to the chat real quick because Josh Yates is leading the emoji race with how many 3 emojis leading the emoji race this morning. So give Josh Yates a round of applause. That's fantastic. And let's see, Brooks Bell is in the chat. He's watching live from Little Rock, Arkansas. So fantastic there. You know, I wanted to say something about this. I'm glad Brooks brought this up because we were anticipating a rate cut. In the month of October, the Fed is going to cut rates again, most likely. But we still got to remember, they only cut a quarter point. So the climate hasn't changed that much.
Well, not only did they only cut a quarter point, but a lot of that drop was already built in previously with the expectation rates were going to drop. I'm a little bit concerned that buyers are sitting on the sidelines, like Brooks mentioned, waiting on potential future drops or even what's going to happen coming into December. And I think they may actually get themselves in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I see that being the case because we have a quarter point that dropped in October, and it didn't do as much as we anticipated it to do to mortgage rates because a lot of people had the myth conception that we were going a half point.
Yeah, and it was already built in, like Jason was saying, and so we've actually seen rates go up, but not dramatically. I think that in the anticipation of this next rate cut is really kind of a time when you should get out there and start looking, getting prepared for going under contract. Because what I do expect to happen is that rates are going to continue to trend down. The lenders are going to reduce their margins, so it's going to show up, even though the 10-year Treasury is up from whenever the rate cut happened. I think that a lot of lenders are offering better rates than before this happened, and they're going to continue to offer better rates. I do think that by the end of the year, we will see things in the very low 6s, potentially into the 5s.
Yeah, if that happens, the builders that are begging you to buy, that'll be a story of yesterday.
Correct.
Yeah, and again, all of these incentives are going to go away as soon as rates go down and traffic picks up. But traffic has been very dead, and so there's a lot of anecdotal evidence and stories coming out of a lot of the builder reps that we know and that we talk to that they are desperate to sell homes. And so now you're getting deals done that you wouldn't have seen previous.
Yeah, and it's kind of reminds me a little bit of during COVID when people were getting these houses and they were getting deals done, 100,000 over asking price, 200,000 over asking price, 300. Now we have the opposite. Now there's this little window where you can get them 40,000 below asking price, 50,000 below asking price. Now this is where we get into leadership. We're not leading our clients to make any kind of stupid offers or have any kind of these expectations that, well, if it's listed at 600, let's throw them an offer of 480 and see what they do. That's not what I want you to hear us say today. What I do want you to hear us say is you could have a clear runway if you find a house that is listed right now. Likely, if you look at the days on market, you're going to see 100, 200 days, something like that, pretty common. And on those scenarios, you can offer a little bit less. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it all begins with the conversation of the listing agent working to find out what is the seller's motivation, what's been going on, what's the feedback that they've received, have they been under contract, did it fall out? I've definitely noticed that a lot of the buyers, if it is not a well-updated house, that inspection report comes back with a lot of items on it.
Yeah.
They are ready to just cut bait. They're more hesitant to negotiate, and because they feel like they can go and find something better. And so this is a really key thing that if you're planning on putting your house in the market, if there is something like wood or paint that needs to be done because you have wood rot, you need to start working to get where you're at FHA level, and your agent needs to start having these conversations with you. What are the minimum requirements that your house has in regard to condition so that you can appeal to the widest possible audience? And you're also going to want to go ahead and spend a little bit. If you have the margin, if you have the money, you're going to want to go ahead and do make ready on paint, especially if you've got young kids. You're not necessarily going to want to change out carpet. I definitely do not recommend change out carpet. I do recommend flooring allowances for that kind of stuff. And then also having a bid for a very nice type of flooring to go in so that you can show them what that is going to be, that you have an amount for a flooring allowance that exceeds that so that they're comfortable going ahead and moving forward on it.
Yeah, I think that leadership is the big overlying topic that we're really focusing on. Now is more than ever, agents need to be leaders. You need to be leading your clients through this tough time into success. And we talked a little bit about buyers, and I think that listing agents, you're going to have to teach your clients how to think about it. I just dealt with a scenario last week, house I got under contract, Burleson, Texas. The house had been sitting on the market for a good hot minute. And you could tell by the conversation with the listing agent that they weren't leading the client into understanding this. The clients had dug their heels in and just said, we're really not going to reduce our price. We're not going to negotiate. We're not going to do a lot of this. And I had to show my clients that you can actually go buy a brand new house for less money, get more incentives, a better interest rate. And by sharing that with the listing agent, again, I was working to help them teach their clients how to think about things the right way. We were able to get under contract. But I think that there is a lack of leadership happening within real estate in America. And we've got to bring ourselves back into a situation where we are not just a fiduciary, but we're educating and teaching our clients so that they actually get what they want when they want it and help them get out of their own way in some cases.
And you had a key thing in there too, Jason, which was that you educated the other agent. You led the other agent in a way that they could have a conversation with their client to help them get what they wanted and your client get what they wanted. So it was a mutually beneficial discussion that came about, and you led both of them indirectly. You led the other agent directly and then their client indirectly by equipping them with the information they need to make an informed decision.
Yeah, well, I think about the leadership here, and, there's headlines that are going to come and go in real estate. And one of them, Zillow had a very, very bad month. They've had some things happen that is getting brought up from our clients. And I just wanted to talk about these things. The home search behemoth of Zillow. How many of you guys in the chat use Zillow? I would love to hear this. If you use Zillow at all, let us know your experience in the chat and why you use Zillow. But I'm just going to read this real quick. This headline is from businessinsider.com. Zillow's no good, very bad month. The home search behemoth is taking shots from real estate's power players as the lawsuits pile up and its rivals get bigger. And the first paragraph blew me away. I was like, okay, you got me. It's been a rough few weeks for Zillow. The country's most popular home search portal is fighting battles on several fronts. It's fending off a flurry of high-stakes lawsuits, including antitrust claim from the federal government. It attempts to stem the rising tide of exclusive inventory homes marketed for sale, but intentionally kept off portals like Zillow appear to have fallen flat. And the company's chief rival in that fight, the real estate brokerage firm Compass, just announced a mammoth acquisition that could give it greater influence of the way America's homes are sold. Zillow promises its user a near complete view of the housing market simply by scrolling on their phones. That vision is under threat. Compass CEO is leading the charge toward a more fragmented future in which more home listings are initially stashed away in private databases available only to buyers who work with certain agents. Refkin says this model would give sellers more control over where and how their homes are marketed. Zillow, along with many others in the industry, argues that sharing listings, sharing listings widely gives buyers a fair shake and sellers best opportunities give top dollar. So basically what Zillow was doing was they were trying to create their own MLS and keep some sort of exclusivity to some listings on their site only. And then people started pushing back on this. What do you know?
And that was their requirement that once your house was going, or once you put your listing up, you had 1 day to make sure that it got on Zillow, or else it was going to exclude it. And this kind of goes back to its, somewhat anti-competitive trade practices, which is why Zillow is also being sued for its deal with Redfin to minimize rental listings.
Wow.
So Zillow has this ability to really kind of control what people are able to see in the marketing of properties because there are so many eyes. They really, Zillow and Trulia, the same company, run probably 80% of all buyers are on there or look on there at some point during their home search. So it is a big advertising part for agents and their listings for their sellers. But Zillow's been restricting a lot of that in order to maintain control. And I think that they're kind of rightly being sued because of some of their anti-competitive practices.
I totally agree that they're right in being sued. I mean, let's face the facts. And it's not that I'm anti-Zillow. Let me say that up front. We've all used Zillow. We've paid them a lot of money over the years. But Zillow worked their way into a really interesting situation where the clients, the consumer, they're the cattle. They're the cattle that Zillow has done a great job of corralling into their fields. And then they're using our listings and making us pay to get the buyers off of our own listings. And Zillow's been very effective in doing that. But they've also really started to dance into the deceptive trade practice kind of engagement where buyers are now not understanding who they're being connected with. For years, we've experienced that the buyers thought that they were connecting with the listing agent, and they weren't. But now they're not even realizing what fees are going to be associated with by contacting an agent on Zillow and not just the listing agent.
And these are conversations that we have with our buyers all the time, which is working to lead them to the appropriate websites to go and check out, not being exclusive. Don't go to Zillow is never anything that we say. We say it's perfectly great to go there, get the information. One of the things that I loved about Zillow, really truly, was their heat map on crime. But what we see is that a lot of these big data aggregators, when one gets sued for one thing, they all kind of fall in line. Redfin got sued for their crime heat map, and Trulia removed that from one of the things that they offered, which I think was very important for the consumer. And this is one of the things that it's the law of unintended consequences. What we see is that a lot of times these lawsuits that are meant to open up the market, eliminate some of these, like the real estate commissions lawsuit. I see that as actually an attack on property rights, because I think that what has happened over the years about the sellers paying the commission was mischaracterized in that lawsuit. Because if a buyer doesn't show up with money to purchase the house, then the house doesn't sell. No money changes hands. No agent receives compensation. And this is a key factor for the consumer to understand. And it gets into this whole Zillow most recent lawsuit about the 40% regarding flex teams. And so, again, when it comes to being a consumer nowadays, you really need to get out there, speak to multiple agents, find an agent that can explain these parts of the process to you, explain to you what all is going on in the market, give you that greater context, and then work to help you understand the different parts that you really need to fundamentally understand on this big purchase.
Yeah, I love that. Simon Sinek had a great quote. He said, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. And, when we're leading our clients, they oftentimes don't want to hear about the lawsuits. They don't want to think about the lawsuits. They just want us to stay informed, stay in the news, stay in the know on the real estate subjects, and let them know what little bits and pieces of each one matter to them. I'd say the only thing that matters on this latest big lawsuit, which is, I call it Zillow versus Compass. Compass's big move to protect against Zillow was, let me just acquire more companies, which by default acquires more listings, and we'll have kind of this private listing area where we can showcase our homes on a portal that we own and control, kind of like in defense of what Zillow's monopoly is with the behemoth size they've become. But Zillow didn't like that. They said, you keep something off our website and then you try to add it later. So what some of these companies wanted to do is list them privately for a day or two, give their people a look at it, and then throw it on Zillow. And Zillow's like, anything that doesn't hit our site day one will not be put on our site. And if you don't want to play with Zillow, you're going to miss over 85% of the real estate search that's out there if your listing isn't syndicated to their site.
And none of that was happening before the commissions lawsuit from sellers.
Yeah.
And so this wasn't even a discussion that was occurring until that commissions lawsuit came up. And again, it's the defense of the consumer that Compass is trying to do, is to give people a better product, while what Zillow's working to do, I think, is just extract more money from real estate to pad their books. But every company is out there to make money.
Oh yeah, for sure. And as we lead into the fourth quarter with our clients, what are you guys seeing out there on a day-to-day basis as far as inventory? Is it leaving the market quickly? Are you having to be more aggressive on your offers? And I'm talking specifically for those people that are watching now. like in the short term, in the last couple weeks in our area, because the only case study we can do is on North Texas. If you're consuming this from out of state, this is more what we're seeing right now. And if you're consuming this from out of state and you're an agent, drop in the chat below what you're seeing. But in the last couple weeks, what are y'all seeing out there?
I'm seeing that, you know, listings are starting to move faster than what we have had in the past.
Yeah.
And like we talked about earlier,
A little bit of an uptick.
Uptick in that. We're also starting to see a little bit of increase in the multiple offer scenario. The adverse side of that is builders are hurting.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
we are, and I think that this is going to have a strong impact on the resale market here in North Texas because the builder inventory, they've got deep pockets.
Yeah, they can weather this storm a lot better than your single family resident pre-sale family. So it's kind of an interesting conversation that you bring up because you're having to think about builders as a $1 billion behemoth are listing a home, and then Mr. and Mrs. Smith on 123 Main Street are also listing a home. Those products directly compete against each other. Who is stronger? Who can weather a storm longer? Who can give more incentives? Who can give bigger discounts? What do you think that does to these families that are listing their property right now?
Location, location, location. So if you're in the city center where there's not a whole lot of land to develop and there's not a lot of builders,
Right.
Builders in the city center where you have good schools and a lot of economic activity, you're 500, 600, 700 and up for the most part. And so that gives the sellers in those areas a strategic advantage because for the most part, their houses aren't going to be that expensive. And what Jason was saying is that the run-up in prices really followed on the resale market with what builders were dealing with because of the cost of materials. So as new construction shot up in price, we saw resale homes go up in price as well. And so as builders start cutting in those incentives, well, the sellers that are in the outskirts are the ones that are really being impacted the most.
Do you have a listing that comes to mind that you think right now is a deal? Do you have one that comes to mind? I mean, do you watch inventory enough to have like a deal on the top of your mind?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a high price point, but the 5 acres off of 287 with 2 houses, I think it's a deal because I think just the 5 acres alone is worth the asking price.
What is the asking price?
Asking price is 1.5.
Okay.
But it's off of 287
Frontage?
and frontage road, and it's set back cross fence. You've got the main house. You have a barn dough in the back for a mother-in-law suite. You got a pool. You've got a couple other buildings. You've got a pond, and then but 5 acres in Arlington off of a highway is $300,000 an acre easy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's developable.
It's developable.
There is a builder that built on roughly the same acreage, an entire subdivision. And so, yeah, I totally agree with Brooks that this is actually a deal. It's a higher price point deal, but it's a deal.
That's fantastic. And, you know, what we're starting to see as affordable housing gets more and more desirable, I'm talking more about mobile homes and modular homes right now. The more that these mobile homes start to move up and down the highways, you see Clayton Homes, you see Oak Creek, you see Solitaire, you see all these mobile home builders, as they're moving homes up and down the highways, they are looking for more highway frontage to have lots because, you know, they really don't want to have a sales lot back up 528, down 605B and off 1187. So they are looking for these 5, 10, and 15 acre highway frontages because, like it or not, mobile homes are the way of the future. I mean, quote me now, but that is where we still see the ability to buy a home for $225,
Mobile and
$200,
tiny.
$250, tiny, cottage.
And this is an important thing. So there was a lender that came out just recently, probably about a year ago, that was creating a loan product. And as we discussed it as a team, it is not a good loan product because basically what they did to bring down the price of the house, you didn't really buy the land.
Yeah.
You bought the house, but the land was like a lease rent, almost like a fee simple lease. Mm-hmm. And the concern that we had as we discussed it was that, yes, it helped payments be lower, but when your land value appreciates, you're not getting any of that appreciation. And I mean, we've seen it in Southlake where what was an acre would have cost $200,000 back in the early 2000s now is $600,000. And so you missed out on all that appreciation.
Yeah.
And so when it comes time to sell and you're only selling the house and not the land, you're going to have a lot of pushback on that. So I do know that the financial instruments that they've been working to create, the 2-1 buy downs, the 3-2-1 buy downs, and in this case, the almost like a fee simple lease for selling a house or getting a house at a lower price, it doesn't make near as much sense as getting a tiny home or getting a modular home or a mobile home, but yet none of the communities really want that product like Arlington. If you have a house right now or if you have a mobile home and it is in a bad state, you cannot take that mobile home off and put a new one in.
Really?
The
You don't have
cities-
like a 30 or 60 day grandfathered in?
No, you have to repair that mobile home and it has to stay there.
Oh,
So
really?
again, knowing your city requirements, your deed restrictions is going to be very important because a lot of them don't like that going in. And so it's a big restriction. And the one thing that we thought was that this whole tiny home craze was going to allow affordability to be better. And a lot of builders are like right now, Carol, in Crandall, you could get a DR Horton at 180.
Let's go to the chat real quick and let's continue on this. Brooks is onto something here as we talk more about affordable housing. And this is all about leadership because sometimes you have to lead your clients to where the deals are. They say, I've got this amount of money. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. Greg Potts says, yo, on my listings, I am having decent traffic, but the buyers are very skittish, saying they're going to be making offers and then they don't. They're just dealing with flaky buyers. Pretty easy when I am taking people in the market as a buyer's agent because they have plenty of options.
Yep.
Let's talk about that for a second. And then, Esiko Enoch says, I'm watching from Uganda. I think this is our first viewer from Uganda.
awesome.
Rocking awesome from Uganda.
Thanks so
man.
much for tuning in. Big shout out to you, Mr. Enoch. Thanks for tuning in. And I would love to know where you're watching from. So if you're watching this live on Facebook or on YouTube, drop the city and state you're watching this from, or in this case, country. Let us know where you're watching from. But Brooks, you got a good point because Burleson has a rule that if you move a mobile home off in the city limits, they are allowed to go back, but you have 60 days.
And so you really need to know your timelines for performance on some of this stuff because deed restrictions, city restrictions, Burleson also signed a bunch of ETJ agreements. So I've got a client that wants to sell 10 acres but had worked with a surveyor to subdivide it. And the issue that she ran into is that if she does subdivide it and try to sell it subdivided, it moves from the ETJ or the extra territorial jurisdiction of out of the county into the city of Burleson. Well, that's going to drive up the cost of anyone that buys it because you're now going to have to put in infrastructure, roads, water, fire hydrant. And a normal buyer that would pay $200,000 for a 3-acre lot is not going to have another $300,000 to put that infrastructure in.
So wait a minute. I thought there was no forced annexation anymore.
It's not. She signed an agreement
no.
about I think it was 2006. There was a 20-year agreement.
Oh, no.
Or a 30-year agreement. It was something that's long, like it's going to take another 10 years for her to get out of that. So she went from subdividing that into 3-acre lots into saying, well, I'm just going to sell all 10 acres and hopefully a builder developer will buy it and then put in that infrastructure to subdivide it to make the numbers work because that's the only way the numbers will work.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We watch all the numbers, and I say this all the time, but numbers are the language of business, and numbers is the language of real estate. And so we studied this last week, but there's a neighborhood in Burleson called West Bend North and West Bend South. 56% of the listings that had closed in the last 30 days had given seller concessions, and the majority were $10,000 and above. And here's what's interesting. The average price point in that neighborhood is $388. So if you're giving 10 to 15,000 percentage-wise, big percentage there, and if you're an agent that's like at a listing appointment in that neighborhood and you're comping homes and you're just looking at sales price, which is kind of what we're used to only looking at, but you don't take into consideration
the seller concessions.
and seller concessions.
It's a different price that you actually sold the house for.
Well,
Yeah.
and you're doing your client a disservice by not bringing that up and helping them be aware that you're going to price it here, but you're going to sell here.
Yeah, and what is that?
Week to try to put something together on, and it's in the outskirts, but we're starting to notice a pickup in our land listings getting more traffic.
Yeah, 100%. But going back to what Jonathan said, if you as a listing agent, if you miss that price, that listing price by 4%, you didn't just cost your clients 4%. You cost them a whole lot more than that because by the time they adjust down, they're chasing the market at that point. And by the time they catch up with the market, you may have cost them 8% or 10% or 15% before they catch up and actually sell that house. So the ability for you to be a leader and teach them how to think up front is huge.
Yeah, I love this question that just came live on YouTube. They said, what does a double wide cost down there on an acre or more? So I pulled up a listing here. In 1908, Lariat Lane in Burleson just went on the market, not listed by any of us. So this is just a general answer to your question. This one's on 1.3 acres, and it's a 1,200 square foot double wide, 210.
Yeah.
And what do you get in a brick house in Burleson on an acre? It's not 210.
No, I've got a listing coming up on 2 acres, Alvarado, a mobile home that was built in 2021, so in good condition, 275.
I love that. And here's why I like that listing. This is exactly in my buy box, because what I love to do, my specialty is mobile homes. I have a single family residential portfolio that I own and manage of rentals, but my favorite thing to purchase is mobile homes. And the way I love to acquire mobile homes, and this might be a model that helps somebody that's an investor out there, I like to find these listings that have a double wide on it already on 2 acres or more, so I can come in and add that second mobile home. Like, it would be fantastic to find a mobile home on 5 acres that needs work, because the play there is buy the mobile home, fix up the one that's there, add 4 more over time through United Co-op, Johnson County Special Utilities District Water, or Bethesda Water out in the county. They charge roughly $4,800 or so on a new water tap and a new electric pole. They'll give you a $2,000 allowance for being a new customer, but that's about a $5,000 expense. So for a little less than 10 grand, you can have a water and electric meter. Then you put in your septic tank for 10 grand. So you have about 30,000 into this, and then whatever you pay for the mobile home. I like to buy pre-owned mobile homes. I also buy new mobile homes, but if you buy a pre-owned mobile home, somebody's got to get out of their park, has nowhere to go. No agents really list just mobile homes, so you can typically get a little bit of a better deal on those. Let's just say you grabbed a pre-owned mobile home for 30, your infrastructure was 30. You bought the 5 acres and a double wide for, let's say, 300. You add a second mobile home for another 60, you have 360 in it, and you're getting 2,000 per unit. Now you're already above the 1% rule, and you still have 3 more mobile homes that you can bring in. You wait until you hear somebody, hey, do you have, Jonathan, I know you buy mobile homes. My client has one. Okay, great. I've got 3 more spots on this 5 acres I bought for 300, and you just wait, and the deals come to you. And then when you max it out at 5 units on the double wide you bought on 5 acres, you go look again.
And the reason why you need 5 acres for 5 units is because of the septic restrictions, right?
Yeah, there's a couple things there. If it doesn't have a water well on it, a lot of people don't realize this, that 1 acre restriction goes away. So if Bethesda Water can service it or Johnson County Special Utilities District can service it, and you don't have to have a private water well, you can actually, in some counties right around here, get them on half acres.
Correct.
And then some in the city limits, which I don't even deal with mobile homes in the city limits much. I own one. But if it's in the city limits, sometimes you can get them 5 feet apart, just mobile home, mobile home, mobile home, mobile home, and that's tapping them into city water.
Yeah,
That's a whole different model.
Granbury, you can stack things up a little heavier there.
Granbury, yeah.
But I think this is super important because we're on a topic. I think you're right when you say that mobile homes and modular homes are going to become more prevalent and more important in our business. And a lot of people have a bad taste about mobile homes. They have a misconception about mobile homes.
Why is that?
I think we grow up in the areas that we knew to be mobile homes. They weren't well maintained. They weren't well maintained. And this goes back
because there's no HOA to say, hey, pick that bicycle up out of the front yard. And
right.
Well, and what you tend to see is just a little bit difference of emphasis on what's important.
Yeah.
Well, we also, we grew up in a time when mobile homes were truly disposable housing. Mm-hmm. You leave them out in the rain too long and they're going to fall apart. Mm-hmm. That day is gone. Like the standards at which they're built by, in most cases, is much higher. But what Jonathan just talked about was super important because there's rules out there. If you buy that used mobile home that pulled out of a park and you go put it on an acre somewhere, can you resell it easily? No, because it can't go FHA. But if you're smart and you set that up as a rental, you're making more money on the same section of land by sticking most of those out there. And eventually, somewhere down the line, can you find a cash buyer for it? Absolutely, you can. But people get this misconception about mobile homes and modular homes. Modular is a whole different animal coming into the ball game, and it's not overly popular in Texas yet. And I'm going to stress yet because it's coming. When you go up into the northern states in America, modular housing is a big, big deal.
Really is.
Modular housing, because of their building season is so small that they only have 3 to 4 months to build traditional housing. They utilize modular so they can build them in factories. Now, we think of modular housing here as it's a mobile home. It's built in 2 pieces. They drag it down the road. They put it together. Modular homes up north are 4, 5, 6, 10 pieces, and they're building blocks a house that looks just like any other house that you've done. And it's a multi-million-dollar mansion that's just built in sections in a controlled environment so that the weather's not a factor and you're getting a better price.
That's really cool. It's a kit.
It is. It is a kit. And we're going to see more and more of that happen and move into the Texas environment as people start to get more comfortable with the concept.
Yeah.
But there was a day and age when I actually knew people that were developers, investors that were installing modular homes, really nice modular homes that would come in 2 pieces. Now we're talking 612 roof pitch, 9-foot flat ceilings, textured walls, the works. And the neighbors in these neighborhoods would stand in the streets, block the trucks coming in, and say, "You're not bringing this dirty mobile home into my neighborhood." Mm-hmm. And then the cops would come and say, "You can't keep them out. It's a modular. It's technically a site-built house once it's put together." And it was really funny because once the neighbors saw that home when it was all finished, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing! I want to buy one."
It changed the opinion of what mobile and modular was. And you think about Nebraska Furniture Mart. And Warren Buffett owns Nebraska Furniture Mart, which is a ginormous, basically a city. It's about 3 acres under roof in the Colony, which is in the northeast part of our metroplex here. Well, Warren Buffett is not a furniture guy. Those mattresses and those bed frames in there, he cares nothing about. That is a real estate play. It's 2,000 acres off of highway frontage like Brooks was talking about. He said, "How can I buy this 2,000 acre tract that fronts the highway?" Well, I can put a ginormous destination furniture store on it and a ginormous parking garage, and then sell out front to Hard 8 Barbecue and all these destination restaurants, and they buy the land back from me. And it's a real interesting concept because it goes along with what we're talking about. Mobile homes are the same thing. Nebraska Furniture Mart is a place setter for Warren Buffett as that land increases in value. And you kind of laugh a little bit because Warren Buffett, that's a 50 or 100-year land play, and he's getting up in years. But it's interesting because we're talking about leadership today. It's the same thing on the mobile home, modular home system. The 5-acre example I gave, I just want that 5-acre land to be cash flowing while that 5 acres goes up in value and things get built all around me. The best thing to have next to a 5-acre mobile home park built are skyscrapers. You're going to have to
100%.
pinch me out of here. And if you're cash flowing with 2 units and then you had 3, 4, and 5 and you're amazingly cash flowing, you just let it sit there. And eventually they'll come knocking on your door and say, "Hey, Tarleton State University needs this 5 acres because it's within their 95 acres and they need 100. Get out of here." And you're like, "Well, here's my cash flow statement. You're going to have to pay me EBITDA on this cash flow." So the more you can put these little 5-acre, 10-acre, 15-acre mobile homes, it's almost never happens. But if I find a double wide on 15 acres, come on, daddy,
Yeah. And it's easier to get financing for land with
Right.
a house on it, because what they realized a long time ago in the 80s, whenever all those banks had loaned out on land, was that people don't just walk away from their house. They will walk away from land because there's nothing there that holds them to there.
Yes.
And so this is the big thing, is that that's the reason why financing is so much easier for land with a house on it than it is just vacant land.
Okay, so here's an interesting piece because Jason brought this up. The banks that will do financing on mobile homes around here will do it no matter how many times it's been moved. It's an interesting misconception that they can't go FHA and they can't be financed at all. Now, the truth is, to go FHA, they really can only be moved twice. You start moving them 3, 4, 5 times, forget about it. But if you get the right partners and you get the right banks and you get the right lenders and you say, "Hey, this one's been moved twice, can you make that happen?" I have 2 lenders on our team that will finance a mobile home that's been moved. And a lot of people say, "Oh, that's hands off FHA." yes and no. And then conventional is way easier. And then obviously you have the cash buyers. So here's what's interesting about 21st Mortgage, which is one of the biggest lenders on been moved more than one time.
Yes.
They're 9.5% right now. So they're about prime plus 2%. So you're going to pay a little bit more. But think about it. If you get the double wide that's been moved carefully and then repaired in its new place, and it's nice as it's ever been, and maybe when they repaired it, they put quartz instead of the Formica that was in it originally, so you have a little bit of a case, it might be the nicest it's ever been, and you have to pay a couple more percent to get it financed, but maybe these people that you bought it from were in such a distressed situation,
Right.
you were their knight in shining armor, and you got it for $50,000 less, they took a bath on it. Well, what do you care if you finance it for a couple points? This is the leadership conversation that Brooks, Jason, and I are having. Make sure that you're thinking about things correctly because you could be missing a really big opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm glad you clarified that because you're absolutely right. The scenario that I was actually thinking about, I had a client that would do this. He would buy land, and he would literally go buy a cash mobile home for $5,000.
Yeah.
And drag it out there, fix it up, get it rented. And when I say it wasn't financeable, there were no records of who built it, where it was built, when it was built.
Yeah.
We know nothing about
Chain
it.
of custody.
Yeah. And so I don't know if it's, I mean, and somebody may finance it. I
The
don't
tag might have been taken off that
Yeah,
one.
that's
it
another
was. The
key.
tags
Very
were
hard
gone.
to. Okay.
Yeah.
A great aside here. If the tag's been removed from the single wide or both tags been removed from the double wide or all three tags have been moved for the triple wide, you're not going to be able to finance that. That's like saying my VIN number was scratched off my car that I'm trying to sell you. Well, unfortunately,
Yeah.
all you got is a demolition derby entry with that car.
But, with that, even with all that being said, this guy was making cash money per month on a $5,000 mobile home that he bought and probably drug in there behind his Ford F-150.
Okay, I'll go for a second then. I'll just go for a second here. I bought one for $3,000 this week, and it came with a 2022 updraft air conditioning system, which most mobile homes now are no longer updraft. Their vents are actually in the ceiling, and if I
Correct.
walked you in there blindfold and opened your blindfold up, you'd be like, I don't know what I'm in. Might be a house, I'd have to guess. But so the updraft systems are about $11,000. So this one had a 3-year-old updraft system that came with it. Paid $3,000 for the single wide. I'm dragging it out to some land that I bought from a buddy who was in distress. So I got the land cheap, got the single wide really cheap, and we moved it for about $3,500. And we're going to set it. There's already a septic, electric meter, and a water meter where we're moving it to on this land. And so we're just going to move it, set it, skirt it, tie it into all the utilities. And I don't care. I don't care much more than, well, I was about to say I don't care what it rents for, but I know what it rents for is a better way to say that. It's going to rent between $1,600 and $2,000 a month, and I paid $3,000 for it. So I'll
Right.
probably have in about 9 months the thing will be paid for.
And that's the key. So I think the big thing that Jonathan's getting at here is don't let your preconceived notions, don't let your emotions, don't let your judgment influence the way that you look at the numbers on a good investment, because the truth is that that's a great deal no matter how you cut it. And over time, that land is going to go up in value. And so having a tenant pay off your asset and cash flow it, it doesn't matter whether it's a mobile home, a modular home, a site-built home. It's the numbers. It's the numbers. It's the numbers. It's the numbers.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it was in the Real Solution that we're on, the training that we're on every morning. And if you want that training, by the way, we are on a real estate training call every morning with between 30 and 80 people. If you want to be on that call with us and be in our community, we want you. Like, this is for everybody. So let us know, put it in the chat, message any of us. I want that Zoom link. We'll be on tomorrow at 8:30. But I think it was said in there, the interest rate for a rental home is 100%.
Yes.
And I didn't really get that statement when I first heard him say that, but explain that, Jason. What does that mean?
Well, that's because you're not paying anything towards your mortgage. You're not paying anything down ever. 100% of your money is going away, so it's going to interest every month.
Part of the leadership conversation today is we want you out of the rental rat race.
Yeah.
Like, our leadership conversation is change the way you're thinking. Maybe you could pay cash for a double wide on 1.3 acres because you didn't realize you could get a home in Burleson for $200. So you're like, I'm just going to have to rent because all homes in Burleson are $300 plus. Well, would you be willing to have a mobile home? It's funny when people call you and say, I want a 3-bedroom. And you say, I got one. Are you okay with mobiles? And they say, nope. That cracks me up.
Well, there's a conversation I have with buyers all the time, and it's called a house versus the house, because we have this misconception. Buyers get in and they want what their parents have, but they don't want to wait the time their parents waited. They want to. I want to live with what my parents got right now, right out of college. And I tell them all the time, we're grossly getting to a time when if you don't have real estate to sell and have equity roll forward, you may not be able to ever buy a house. California is already there.
Oh, yeah.
Buyers in California, if you didn't inherit a house, that's why you have generational living in the same house with parents and kids and whatnot.
That's a really good point.
Family living together. I mean, your kids get married, have children, and they're still living in the same house with mom, dad, grandma. We're getting there in Texas because of the elevation in which our prices have gone up. Now, I tell buyers all the time, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but your best bet is to go buy whatever it is you can afford.
Buy a house, not the house.
Buy a house, not the house. I don't care if it means you got to drive to Cleburne, Texas, and get one for $150,000 or $200,000. I don't care if it means you've got to get that mobile home in Alvarado. You need to own real estate if you ever want to be able to trade up and buy the house.
Okay, I'm going to do this with both of you because I want to give real value right here because Jason brought it something huge. Tell the specific cities to the audience right here in our area where you can get the cheaper value of home, where prices are lower. Give specific city names. Why don't you give three and you give three?
I'm going to go with Cleburne, Texas. You're going to get some really good values.
Yep.
You can go out to Granbury and Toller, get some amazing values, and Alvarado.
Yep. What did you come to mind?
In Everman, D.R. Horton has some product there, and you can get as little as $2,000 a month, $8,000 out of pocket, so very easy there. Or you can go east side if you're going to be working in Dallas to the Crandall area.
Yeah.
You can get something for about $1,800 a month there. And then Waxahachie, actually, you can get a brand new house, $280,000 purchase price. And really all you're coming to the closing table with is like $12,000, and you're going to have a $2,200 to $2,500 a month payment with all the incentives. And that's not even getting into like a mobile or one of these other things, because there's definitely tons of opportunity out there for people to find something that's affordable.
I'm going to blow your mind with the third one. The first two may not so much, but I'm going to say Itasca.
Yes.
Great opportunity in Itasca. Great opportunity actually in Covington. Great opportunity in Covington, which these things are just 15, 20 minutes outside of Alvarado. You know, another 15 minutes, you could save $150,000 from what you might pay in Burleson. You go 20 minutes down 35 south towards Hillsboro. Hillsboro would be my number 2B. And then my number 3 that'll blow your mind, actually right here in Karis in Crowley. There's a master plan community here, and they have Cheldon townhomes right now, $234,000 for a 3-bedroom brand new townhome. And so a townhome's a great product for if you don't want to go buy that zero turn or that lawnmower and buy a house. You've never mowed a yard before, grab a townhome. So they just gave you 3. I gave you 3, and there's 9 cities that we can help you find an affordable home. Our goal with the Infinite Agent podcast is help you be an infinite person, an infinite leader, an infinite agent if you are one, an infinite growth-minded person if you are one. And the only way you're going to get out of the rat race of renting is if you have this mindset that I want to figure out what it takes and what is a house that I can afford, not the house that I'm dreaming of because mom and dad own it.
And y'all heard that right there. 15 minutes can save you $150,000. Go tell that to the little green gecko.
Yeah, there you go.
And this is key too, because it's what Jason's talking about. It's actually something Jason developed, which is the buyer's dilemma: price, condition, location. These are the 3 components that come together to determine the value of a property. And your parents didn't just buy the first house they saw, or the one that they wrote you grew up in is not normally the first house that they purchased if it's a big house. Like the one that my dad owned before he met my mom was a $60,000 house in Irving that a couple of years ago somebody flipped, renovated it, sold it for $325,000. And when he sold it, back in the early 80s. He sold it for $80,000.
Okay.
And then the house that we live in now, he paid like $300 for it, but now it's probably a $700,000, $800,000 house. But the expectation that whenever I graduated from school, I could buy the house that it took them years to
That's good.
save up and purchase actually is
False.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane to think that when you get out of college that you have enough to be at the level that your
Man.
parents took 30, 40 years to get to.
So good.
And so, because what I see is the biggest thing that concerns me is this attack on boomers as if they did something to steal the wealth from the current generation. No. If anyone is to blame for that, blame the Federal Reserve. Blame the Federal Reserve because they manipulate us with their money and the way that they lend money to us. And because anytime that lending is involved, the price of an asset goes up. Just look at school loans. When the government got into school loans, the cost of an education shot up.
Yeah.
When Fannie and Freddie and FHA was created, you had a 30-year mortgage product that actually came out of the 15-year. Now in California, as Jason was talking about, is a 40-year product. And so as these assets go up because money is cheap and easy to obtain, then what we're going to see is the prices are going to go up because demand will go up.
Yeah, keep tuning in to the Infinite Agent as we continue to educate, continue to teach you how to think. Travis Addington says, way to go, Jason. So thank you, Travis. Shout out there.
Shout out,
Alex
Travis.
Zapata says, hello, everyone, double exclamation point. Alex with Roa San Antonio, triple exclamation point. Let's give him a round. What up, Alex? And building San Antonio is so fun to watch. Realty of America is spreading like wildfire there. Shout out to the Danny and Amy Correa that just joined in San Antonio. Great agents there. Came over from EXP to Realty of America. Big news, Rachel Brenneman just joined Realty of America today, made it official. So shout out to you, Rachel Brenneman. Welcome to Realty of America, where over 24 agents now in 1 year hang their hats. I'm just so excited to be a part of a company that isn't the franchise model that restricts us to this jurisdiction of where we can office, where we can sell, where we can market. We are in an infinite agent company that allows us to market, to sell, to office anywhere. Happen to be officed right here in Airwave Studios in Crowley, Texas, but I live in a different county and I can sell in another county across the way. You know, this puts no limits on us at the cloud-based brokerage that we're at. So thank you, Eddie Garcia and Mark Demas, for
And it's
creating
so funny because most people really don't realize how territories actually impact their ability to get a qualified agent because they want to go to a brick and mortar store
Right.
because it means that the person isn't a scammer. Right. And so
Yeah.
they want to come in, they want to meet you, but you can't actually have a physical location in the area that you work because there's some type of push and pull between the brick and mortar actual owners of the area. And that's why it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this whole Compass purchase. And
Stay tuned.
Yeah, because our industry, real estate, is the most dynamic, changing industry based on technology.
Yeah.
Innovation through brokerages. And so I am so happy to be part of Realty of America just because of the way that it gives back and that it invests back into the other agents.
Yeah, and I want to give some final thoughts here. I'll give Jason and Brooks a moment to give final thoughts, and then I want to give final thoughts. I just think that this real estate conversation and teaching each other and holding each other accountable on how to think about several different things. I mean, we talked about several different things on how to lead yourself and lead those that you lead with great mindsets around several different conversations right now. And stay tuned. We're going to continue to unpack the Big Compass acquisition over the next 6 months on this podcast. What are your thoughts on leadership?
My thoughts on leadership is that, Jonathan, you actually led me a lot because I've been considering how I'm going to be able to buy the land that I want to build my house on.
Yeah.
And I've been considering this for a long time, which is buy a house with a mobile, turn it into a rental, and then have somebody live there while I stay in the current house that I'm in, and then basically paying it off through rent. And then once I get to the point where I want to build a house, removing the mobile and building the house there, and basically have someone pay off the land for me. And so this kind of broke through that I really need to redouble my efforts in the way that I think about it.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just numbers. And what I can tell you is that 10 years from now, that land is going to definitely be more expensive. And the one thing that I want to leave people with is when I bought my first house, it was in Athens, Texas. So it was an hour and a half away on a good day. And I bought it with 6 acres. And without buying that house at about $80,000, I would not have had the down payment for the house that I currently live in.
Beautiful.
So again, think about the house that you can afford that is in an area in a condition that you find acceptable. It's not going to necessarily be the perfect house. Actually, there is no perfect house.
Yeah.
And so change the way that you look at things, and the things you look at will change, and definitely work to fight your own preconceived notions, because there is 100 different ways to skin this cat. And this conversation has actually helped me rethink about what I have been considering but not ready to pull the trigger on. And I thank you for that.
I love that, man. Thanks, Brooke.
So, last thoughts for me. I'm going to leave you guys with this. In order to be a great leader, you must first be a follower of great leaders. We never stop learning. So, no matter where you're at in your real estate journey, in your career, you've got to learn from the right people so that you can turn around and be able to teach the right things. And so, we're all talking about being great leaders, but we only got here because we had great people that poured into us.
So good.
And so if you don't have the right people in your environment, go find them. Jonathan just invited you all to the morning tumbler that we do every day, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 to 9:15.
It's changed my life. It'll change yours too.
It will. And we're sharpening each other every day. But you've got to find the right environment, the right room to be poured into by the right people, so that you can then go out there and lead others.
I love that. My big aha from the day was when Jason said, buy a house, not the house. And I think that probably spoke to someone in the audience today that watched this that is struggling with, maybe it's someone just out of college and you're about to get married and you're like, how am I going to do this? Well, maybe the way that you do this was just explained to you on the podcast. Buy a house, not the house. And I'll say it like Brooks did. His first house was in Athens. My first house was in South Fort Worth off Trail Lake in 20, and I paid $36,000 for it. 3-bed, 1-bath in 2013. And when I sold that thing for $95,000, a couple years later, I was off to the races, man. I took that 95 and bought a better house. Bought one in Burleson, and so every purchase that you make in real estate is just a stair step to something better, because it always appreciates. And I hope that was valuable to you guys today. Thanks again, y'all. Y'all brought big value once again. Let's go back to this next Wednesday. We'll continue to unpack the difference in some mobile home. We'll give some more mobile home strategies next Wednesday. We'll start with that, and we'll continue on this leadership journey. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, guys. We'll be back next Wednesday, 3:30 to 4:30. Same bat time, same bat cave, different circus, different monkeys. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.